Hey, what is up, guys? It is Rapmark here. There we go, getting my front light on. Uh, and today I am doing the review a couple days late, but still of the last episode of Miss Marvel, the season finale. And what did I think of it? Um, yeah, no. It it definitely could have been better. Uh, I was not a fan. I'm sorry. So definitely the concerns that I had as of last episode, like there was a lot of stuff to tie up, um, and me worried that it was going to not be tied up satisfactorily. That did in fact happen. You had, oh my gosh, so you had the whole Nokia situation. That was literally like a three-sentence conversation in which it's just like, "Are you mad at me?" And it's just like, "I'm your best friend, and you didn't tell me." Just like, "I messed up, but I'm sorry." And then all is forgiven. It's like, and and yes, there was that sort of issue in the comics, but that was like way later and way down the road. It was just like, and way better written. Like it actually didn't feel like, oh, please don't be mad. Okay. And yeah, it was, oh, Jesus. I am, again, they pandered into the whole three love interest, which I was never a fan of. So, again, I'm not as familiar with Miss Marvel. Um, I have, I know of her. I have read into it a lot more because I usually like to do it, especially for like finales like this. Um, and yes, she did know these three in the comics. She was romantically involved with each one of these in the comics, but at least as far as I've looked into it, it didn't seem to be a freaking triangle. And man, they changed Cameron around. I mean, we'll get into that later, but holy Jesus. But honestly, the whole love triangle thing is just, it's the pain in the ass. Like there was a love triangle in the comics with her between her Spider-Man and Nova. You know, that was a thing, but not with these three. And the fact that they're doing this like this way, it just makes my eyes roll, unfortunately. I'm just not a fan of it. Um, the whole thing with her mother, from again the start of the episode where they're kind of struggling to understand each other, which I got to some extent, um, is then completely just 180'd by this episode, and it's too much of a change. Like again, like in the first episode, her mom is like upset, like questioning her wanting to go to a convention, and then by the last episode, she is making an a costume for her that like it's nice and it's sweet, but it's so rushed. Like, and that's the whole thing with this series is you have you everything just is so rushed because there's so many distractions. Like this is so while I get what they were trying to do with that, it just it was poorly executed. Um, and her dad, I absolutely love her dad. There is so one of the few things I actually enjoyed of this episode was a conversation of where her dad talks to her about how she got her name. Um, and not to go too deeply into it, as we have, I'm going to try to cover a lot in as little as possible. But uh, yeah, it was a touching moment. I actually felt something on that scene, and it was well done, well written, and well performed. I absolutely love her dad. But yeah, what else do we have? Yeah, so all three love interests are involved in this, and it's I don't know, like my eyes are rolling, and they've been doing that every time this has been introduced, and I'm just like, oh, can we not? Like, I really hope that that is not something that shows up in the Marvels. If it is, I'm gonna be really freaking mad. It'll be because it's already cringy. It is already dragged down the show, and it's one of the things I hate the most about this show is it is literally like stupid, like little kid drama, and ugh, it it's definitely not for me. But I mean, it's just so it's rushed. Like all of these arcs are rushed, and I just it annoys me. Another thing, her powers. I can't give too much crap. Like she does in this one. She does the embiggening. It stretches her legs, her hands. Her head looks normal. It looks a little odd, but I mean, it was always going to look odd, regardless of whether or not the whole twinkling nor stuff involved or not. So, like I said, I can't give it too much crap. It just looks weird, but I don't think there's much they can do about that. So that's just a personal thing for me. Uh, but from what I've read, other people have commented on it as well. Uh, oh my gosh, then the villains of the show. These are honestly probably the worst villains like ever. Uh, you have the clandestines who get taken out all in an episode, and then one of them just changes her motivations on the coin of a flip because Cam- Camilla asks her to, and that's the one thing that I don't like about Camilla's character. And I don't think I'm not blaming the actress. The performances are great. It's the way she's written. Uh, Again, like the Najma uh, changes her mind about going back to Noor, which would have probably destroyed the world, destroyed the galaxy, whatever, by trying to do this. And she immediately is just like she gave up everything. She gave up her son, and then she's just like, nope, gonna flip it. The mother arc, that was I see what they were trying to do, but it was too quick. It was too much. It wasn't. It just seemed rushed. Uh, all the love interests. It's just like they meet, and again, some of that happened in the comics, obviously, but some of like the way it was just drawn up here, it seemed fast. It seemed rushed. It seemed contrived. Like there are just every like there are so many like just contrivances, like characters showing up when they should, especially in this episode. Like you have them in the school trying to escape, and then her brother shows up, and then out of nowhere, the TikTok girl Zoe shows up, her bully. and it's just so bizarre. Like they've changed these characters, which I mean I get it. You know, they've changed a lot of things in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Again, this is not Earth Prime, Earth 616 that is in the comics, or majority of the comics. This is the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which is again Earth 199999. So they can change it, but man, some of the changes they're making, at least in this show, it's making my eyes roll. And the thing that blows my mind is that yeah, this is the highest rated Marvel thing out there. Series, movies. Maybe it's gone down. I checked it like last I checked was a couple days ago, a couple days after the episode came out. Let me take a look at this real quick. I'm gonna pull that. Ba-ba-ba-ba. All right, let's take a look by the tomato meter. Oh, these are just movies. Anyway, no, I forget where the heck I looked at it. I know it was on Rotten Tomatoes somewhere, but I'm not going to waste too much time looking at that here. But anyway, like it's the highest thing ever, and I'm just like, this does not deserve a 10. I'm sorry, but it does not deserve a 10. Like this had horrible writing. It just had so much contrivance, and but yeah, I'm starting to get like I am tying in the whole series together because I am going to be doing a my rating of the series itself to at the end of this video. But yeah, some of the things, and I'll get into a breakdown in the episode as well, a little bit here. But man, and God, the DDC. I mean, it's the DODC, but DDC is like what? But and this is nuts. This is a agency which is tasked with hunting down and capturing superhumans. Inhumans, aliens, whatever. Like it is in charge of. This is the Department of Damage Control. And they get stopped by a bunch of kids in a school. The weapons, their powers were completely inconsistent. I mean, there's one scene in which I see it hit a poster and it just sort of blows off the wall. Whereas there's other scenes where it literally punches holes through cinder blocks. And another scene where it'll knock chairs down, but not all of them. And the whole thing is like that. There's a scene where the what is it? Not Danvers. That's Deaver. She's just like enhanced rounds, non-lethal. I want this kid alive just so we can figure out who he is. And then again, there's guns that are that's not stun. I don't know what that gun is meant to do, but if it's punching through cinder blocks, that's it's probably beyond stun. Uh, and then blowing posters like it just it was so bad. And then Cameron's powers, which again, like how he got them, were it was so it was ridiculous. It was absolutely ridiculous. And then of course he can't control them, but then he has to escape. Like, and the only reason that I wouldn't have wanted the DDC to get to him is because they were actively like because of the whole Deaver character. She came off as a racist. She came off as just this caricature caricature of a character. Like it was like a bunch of clowns. Like the whole DDC, it was like a big joke. And same with the clandestines. And I don't understand the whole thing of we're going to uh this world, this galaxy, whatever, this universe is going to end if she goes through this portal. Like, and then that's just completely abruptly cut short. And then we go into this, well, now Cameron needs to escape. And then we go into this, like, Home Alone esque type, just bizarreness. One thing I did like is they did bring the style back. So as she's planning everything, she kind of does this whole cartoon, the stylistic like drawings on the chalkboard, which kind of come alive and interact. Um, which again, like that has been literally forgotten for almost 3 episodes, I think, at this point. I'm just like, oh, where's this? Like, where was this for the rest of the series? It, yeah, I mean, there was there was a lot I did not like about this episode, and not a whole lot that I liked about it. Again, one big thing is, uh, again, Kamala's dad. I thought he was great the whole series long. I loved her dad. He was absolutely the best thing of this series, which is kind of sad. And again, I don't blame the actors. I think they performed as well as they could with what they were given. The writing was just shit. The writing was absolute shit. Oh my gosh. Oh, and I almost forgot. So there's a moment where they're hiding from the DDC, Cameron and Kamala, and they're holding hands, and their powers sort of just merge, and it's it's so goofy. It's so, oh my gosh, I was just like, this is just not working for me. And then they almost kiss. And then who shows up but Bruno? And then he goes off, and so that they can escape, and immediately just gets punched hard in the face. Oh my gosh. Let me tell you, my eyes were rolling massively. So I'm gonna what would I fully say on this? What is my rating for this episode? Um, I almost want to say it too, but again, I it was functional. It was just really poorly executed, tied up, and uh, and I love again Kamala's dad. That scene was really amazing. Holy shit! I almost forgot the biggest thing. So in the comics, she is established as an inhuman. So a brief little bit on that. Inhumans are modified humans that were essentially made by the Kree, who, for uh, you who may not know, the blue people, Ronan, in Guardians of the Galaxy, he was a Kree. They are very arrogant, very warlike, and of course you kind of deal with them sort of in a way with Miss Marvel as well. But yeah, that storyline is completely thrown out here, and instead she is the MCU's first mutant, which again made me eye roll, and I was just like, I mean, I'm sorry, that just, and they used the theme The freaking theme, and it was kind of upsetting. Like, again, I know they're going to make some changes as to the comics because it's a separate universe, and there are changes that I didn't mind, there are changes that I loved, and then there are changes that I didn't like. This is definitely up there with ones I didn't like. This is probably in fact one of the biggest ones that I did not like. And I'm just like, why? Just why in the and now that's what we have to go with. She's a mutant. She's not inhuman. She's a mutant. And I'm not happy about that. Needless to say. So yeah. All right. So that covers all that. So yeah, three. This is a three because there were a lot of things that this was not a good episode. It was horribly written. Storylines, the way too many storylines were tied up in really unsatisfactory ways, or like literally glossed over. And yeah, I just couldn't stand it. So let's go into a bit of the episode. So it immediately takes off to where Bruno and Cameron are on the run, um, and they try to hide in the mosque. And so the DDC comes to the mosque, and of course, they're coming in all big and bad, and they just look. It's such a. They're like cartoon characters. Like this can't be real. They're literally like a bunch of clowns the way they act and behave, and oh my gosh. So they come in, and of course everyone has their ID out, just like this isn't our first rodeo. And Nakia like also says that when they have to hide, it's just like, are you kidding? Like the FBI, probably the water treatment people have us under surveillance. And I mean, that's really sad because that is actually a thing in America. A lot of mosques are under surveillance, and that's really sad. So anyway, so they hide, and they use some cheesy delay tactics. I do like how the IMEM of I believe that's what it's called, the one who runs a mosque, an IMEM. Um, he has some really good lines, like the quote from Abraham Lincoln, and she's just like, "Save the Quranic verses." Like again, just God, the DDC just it's grating. It's so grating, just how cheesy and horribly written they were. And again, this is an agency tasked with hunting down and capturing, superhumans essentially to again like make sure they're not causing harm. And man, they just wrote them so horribly in this, so horribly. Uh, but yes, they escape, and he goes to the school where they find. So, what is her name? Deaver. Deaver. She goes there. She's told by her boss, Clary, to pull back because, again, guys with guns in a school, shooting at kids. That's horrible PR. And keep in mind that this also was like with the whole school shooting in Texas. So this episode starts with a trigger warning. Uh, and honestly, it wouldn't surprise me if the scene where she's just like where he's asking enhanced rounds is just like non-lethal. I want to take the kid in alive. Uh, that line, I think that was added in later because towards the end of this episode, she just opens fire and somehow like 9 mils, freaking M16s, automatic rifles like are non-lethal, and it's just it makes no sense. It makes no sense. It's like they inserted it to sort of mellow her down. But yeah, and then just completely forgot about it at that scene. So I don't know. It was horrible writing. All right, so we again get down to Kamala telling. So she does tell her family, but they already knew because her mom told her dad, and her dad had it on speaker, so everyone in the house knew. So there's that. So so her mom makes her a costume so that she can remain incognito. And it looks good. Like I did like the costume, but again, the whole thing with the mom going from where she was in episode 1 to where she is now, it just it's too much. It doesn't seem earned, which I'm sure there's time that has passed and other stuff, but it didn't seem earned. So again, it was rushed with like so many other things in this. So then we go. So Claria orders her to retreat. Diva ignores and sends some agents into the school, where we again run into somehow the brother got there, and then the TikTok girl Zoe, her bully, got there, and yeah, they changed her. She was not a bully for long. Uh, that one I don't mind so much. Man, the way they changed Cameron was just like, I don't like where you're going with this. Don't do this, please. Because he was her first crush, and it turns out that he was manipulating her the whole time, and he turned out to be a villain. He was a bully and a villain, and yeah, she took it hard, but yeah, it ended pretty quickly after that. And now it seems like they're not going to do that story, and they're going to keep him as a love interest, which is just super cringy to me. There was a point in time where boomers were just like, freaking millennials. No, this is me as a millennial saying, fucking Gen Z. Y'all like some weird shit. And don't get me wrong, I understand that this whole show feels like a kids show, essentially. Like a show you would find on the actual Disney Channel, not something out of Marvel. Marvel I get is created for kids. Like, I understand that. But this is like a show for dumb kids who like dumb things like Twilight. And it's just ugh. So anyway, we go into this whole thing where I do like that. I do like the stylization of her plan on the chalkboard and everything. But again, these are trained agents with guns, and they are literally being held up by kids with softballs and disguising as Cameron. It it was just it was very cringy and a little too homo. Like, I understand some of it was for laughs, but it just wasn't funny. and I was super checked out, to be completely honest. I'll get into that in a sec, but yeah. So anyway, they all get arrested. Kamala and Cameron, like Cameron goes out first. Oh my gosh, no, I'm skipping ahead a little bit. I apologize. So Cameron knows that Kamala knows what happens to his mother. So he asks. She finally tells him, and then he just take like he doesn't take it very well at all. There's a point where an agent comes in. He uses his power. It punches a hole through the freaking window. And again, if he hits him again, like this will kill him. So she blocks it. Again, it's establishing he is trying to kill people. Like, no, don't turn this around and keep him in this unwanted, cringe as fuck love triangle. This is nuts. So anyway, then he runs away from her. He gets out first. Deaver is there. A bunch of guns are trained on him. He puts up his shield. She says open fire, and the crowd's there. Why? Because Zoe sent out a TikTok explaining what was happening and asking all of her followers to go to the school. And I was, man, were my eyes rolling. That was, it was just the fact that she was there because the school has good lighting, so she breaks into the school at 9 p.m. All right. Yeah, that just blows my mind. All right, anyway, so anyway, he blocks it, some of them, but then he can't. So then Kamala shows up and blocks some more, and then there's just gunshots, and then he just gets absolutely pissed. He's using his powers. He is like, and it never like the way it's filmed, it never shows anything. But it's just like, did he kill anyone? And from what I've read, like no, he just can't control it. But I mean, seriously, he is zapping people with this power that he has. That it is established it can punch through freaking cinder blocks, and he is hitting people, sending them airborne, you know, possibly impaling them. I don't know. Again, it's not filmed to a point to where it shows stuff. I can't hold on to the fact that this is going to be a good guy. He can't be a hero. At very best, maybe an anti-hero. And maybe I could get behind that. But God, just get him out of this end this triangle like plot line. I don't want to see it in season 2. I sure as fuck don't want to see it in the Marvels. Because good God. But yeah, like I just can't see him as being a good guy after that. Maybe well intentioned, but he's got a lot on his plate. He clearly has to figure out a lot of things. But no, I don't want this to end up with him, joining the heroes in the Avengers or something like that. It just, I couldn't get behind it, especially with what I've seen in this series. So anyway, after that whole fight, he sends a car flying into the crowd. She does her and Biggin, which looks goofy, but I get it. I mean, there was no way it wasn't going to look goofy, so I'm not going to be too hard on that. It is what it is. Um, So she grabs the car, sets it down, then they're firing, and then she does a ginormous shield and talks to Cameron, and he's just like, "How can you put up with this? They'll never accept you." And he's just like, "No, don't be bad." And he's just like, "Okay." And I'm just like, "Oh, please don't do this." I I have the horrifying suspicion that they're gonna turn him into a good guy and keep this love triangle bullshit going on that I don't like and I'm just not invested in. And yeah, it's just not good. Not good. It's not just not for me. It is horribly written. And then after all that, she punches a hole and it just appears and it goes somehow right to the harbor. And I'm just like, okay. And then she goes and then she releases the shield. And then everyone gets up to create a wall. And the DDC, they just push right through. Because I guess it doesn't matter. And then she uses her powers to just run off into the night on her light platforms because the DDC just don't have guns anymore and can't shoot her down. And yeah, whatever. So Deaver is now relieved of duty. She is fired. And then she takes the Miss Marvel name from a story for father. That story I actually loved. And again, I love her father so much. Like, I am much more excited to see him than probably anyone else from the series, which is really sad. So I really hope that if they do a season 2, that they just do some more competent writing because this series had such high potential, and I gave it high scores, decently high scores early on, and it just got worse and worse. So anyway, Cameron flees to Pakistan, meets Kareem, the other love interest, and how that's going to develop, who knows. I really, really hope they're not going to do what I think they're going to do, and oh my god, turn him into a good guy. Again, I know that she knew and was romantically attached to all three of these guys in the comics, but it wasn't at the same time. Yeah, it drives me nuts. And then later, the big reveal. Bruno. They're they're discussing who should take Cameron's car, and then Bruno pulls her off to the side and says that it's not just your blood because your brother doesn't have it. There's something about your genetics. There's a mutation. Da-na-na-na-na-na. And I was just like, you, oh, you did not, you did not just cast aside the whole Inhuman thing to turn her into MCU's first mutant, and they did, and I'm upset about it. I think that was a bad decision, but I mean that's just me. But yeah, I'm not thrilled about that decision at all, and I wonder how they're going to play it up. And what happens to Inhumans now? Because Inhumans are a thing. They have to be unless Hydra has some other reason for being, because that's what Hydra's all about, to bring about and release the very first Inhuman ever created. I forget his name off the top of my head for this, but yeah. So then we go into the mid-credit scene where Kamala, like the jangle, she falls on the bed. The bangle is sort of like quivering, and then she disappears into a closet and breaks the door. And then a very confused Carol Danvers shows up, and she has the second one. And I need to watch Captain Marvel again to see if she actually has that bangle. Because yeah, that I was just like, ugh. But man, that's the tie-in they're doing to the Marvels. That was terrible. That was like one of the worst tie-ins I think I've ever seen in Marvel, to be honest. So yeah, that's the episode. So the series, I mean, I've gone into a bit in it here, but I mean, honestly, like I gave episode 1 a 7, or was it a 6? I gave it a 6. I gave episode 2 a 6. I gave episode 3, I believe that one was a 7. And then 4 was an 8. I really enjoyed 4. And then 5 was just way down. It was 4 or 3. And this one's getting a 3. And not the like just because of how I know it ended, how it's ending, and the direction that they took this series, I probably would have gone lower on all of the other episodes. Because yeah, the writing was horrible. It was super tropey as hell. Uh, so many contrivances. Um, Character arcs were rushed and not very well fleshed out, and they just sort of happened. The performances are great. I love the history. I love the tie-ins. I wish they had gone a little deeper into it if they were going to distract themselves, or at least have like a couple more episodes to actually try to more satisfactorily tie up all these loose ends, because everything's broken. Like Kamala was my favorite part of this series, followed by her dad. But that changed when it's just like all she has to do is just talk to someone, and they're just like, okay. It just doesn't seem earned. It just seems so forced. I absolutely hate the love triangle bullshit. Like, I do not want to see this. I do not want this love triangle to exist. It's just annoying, and it seems like Gen Z bullshit, in my opinion. I am not a fan of it. It royally pisses me off. Um, like I would have given this average if the first 4 episodes were a template and the last 2 had continued on that. But no, this it's either a 3 or a 4. I think I'm fine. I'm going to settle at a 4. This is very below average. And people who gave this a 10, I'm just like, you're out of your mind. Like, I can appreciate if you enjoyed it, but a 10, this being the best rated thing in all of Marvel, you are out of your mind. I get it. It's new. It's fresh. It covers with, a stigmatized culture in a positive way, which I did enjoy. I am not like some of these people who are toxic racists, but at the same time, I'm not looking at this series with rose colored glasses like I think some of these people are. Like, this was not good. It was horribly written. And I miss the stylization they had with like the drawings and her oogling over superheroes. Like that just disappeared. Um, the stylization with the drawings and being alive and coming to life and all that. That disappeared within the second episode, and sort of was here and there through like the episode after that, and once in episode 5, I think. But then it didn't make its appearance until the last one, and like honestly, I watch shows and movies to be distracted. And in this episode, I was like so tuned out. I actually started pacing the hallway, which I do when I'm restless. Like this episode, this series as a whole, like the other episodes they kept me, but by the time of this episode, I just wasn't distracted. I was just checked out. And again, it wasn't the performances. The performances were great. It was the bad writing, the awful special effects, the storylines which were just so unsatisfactorily tied up, and then some of the decisions they made, like the love triangle, and then her being a mutant. So yeah, this series gets a 4. This episode gets a 3, and I'm very disappointed with this. I think this is probably the worst series that Marvel's come up with on Disney Plus. This feels like something that should be literally on the Disney Channel. So anyway, those are my thoughts. Let me know what you thought, uh, and I will see you guys next time. See ya.